Hey guys, welcome back to Brand New Vegan. This is Chuck. And I know how hard it was for me to get started being vegan, starting this plant based diet. What about you? How hard was it? Did your family support you? What kinds of foods did you used to eat? What kind of foods do you eat now? What kind of benefits have you seen? Those are the types of questions I think are kind of important to help new people start this way of eating. And for that reason, I'm going to start doing interviews with people in my various groups. If you'd like to be one, let me know. I have about 19 lined up so far. And today we're going to start off with Tina Pitchford. She's a friend of mine from my private group. And Tina, we can't wait to hear your story. Let's go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Brand New Vegan. I am Chuck, your host. And today we're doing something a little different. We're going to be doing some interviews with members from my Facebook community and my support group. And today we have Tina Pitchford, and she has agreed to be interviewed. So I hope you enjoy the video. I'm going to ask her some questions and we'll see what got her started along this journey. So, Tina, what made you decide to try a vegan or plant based diet?
Um, well, I was 51 years old and my health wasn't great. I was about 60 pounds overweight and I'd just been diagnosed with prediabetes. My cholesterol was high. I'd been battling with my blood pressure since my early 40s, and I had irritable bowel syndrome that I'd had since like childhood. So that was like the first thing. And then the second thing that was going on around the same time is my husband and I had both started reading and learning and practicing Buddhism. So we were questioning, our attitudes about eating animals. We were looking at, compassion towards other beings.
Hmm.
And then the third thing that just kind of like clinched it and really motivated us was that we met a college student named Cyrus, because I work at a college, and he was vegan, and we were on a athletic trip with him, and that's how we got to know that, because we'd take them for meals and stuff. And so we just started questioning him. We kind of gave him the third degree, but he was very sweet about it and very, very thoughtful young man, and told us about why he was vegan. And that was the motivation
Now,
that got us
this
going.
this wouldn't happen to be the Cyrus from Mastering Diabetes, would it?
No.
Different Cyrus. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can tell the people that are watching this, since we've been doing our challenge in our support group, and I'll put a link below if anybody's interested. I've seen your blood pressure numbers, and they are wonderful today. So good job.
Thanks.
Okay. So how long ago was that? I think you told me that was.
That was 12 years ago in November. So November 2010.
Okay. And what are the benefits you've seen since then?
Lots of benefits. One is I lost those 60 pounds over a 2-year period, and I'm no longer pre-diabetic.
Nice.
My cholesterol is really good, and my hypertension I'm still working on.
It's getting there.
Yep. And my irritable bowel syndrome, I would say, is cured, because I never have any issues any longer with that.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're eating primarily a high fiber, um, starch based, let's say, style diet.
Yes.
Okay. And was it easy or hard for you to switch?
The decision was really easy for us.
The
But the
practice though?
the implementation was a little bit more challenging. I guess, it was just learning what to eat was difficult for us. And it took some research, because at that time there wasn't a whole lot of information out, and we didn't know anybody
Yeah.
that was, besides this college student, we didn't know anybody that was
That's
vegan.
very, very common.
Yeah, so it took some work.
But now, today,
Now it's really easy.
it's like second nature, huh?
Yes. Yeah, it
I,
is.
I don't even think about it anymore. So, did your family and friends support you at that time?
Um, well, we had we have three sons, and at the time, the two younger ones were teens in high school, and they were still living at home. Our oldest was in college, so he was back and forth with breaks, and our youngest has always been very easygoing. And so when we told them this is what we were going to do, and we didn't force them, we told them you can eat however you want.
Hmm.
I told them I would keep buying what they wanted, but I wouldn't cook it for them. So they had to start learning how to cook.
It's a good thing all by itself.
Yeah, if they wanted meat, they had to cook it, or it had to be purchased pre-made. Um, and I said, but I will make dinners and you can eat what you want. And if you don't like it, you can make something else and eat something else. And my youngest was very okay with that. He's always been very easygoing. My middle son was kind of like, yeah, all right. And most of the time they would eat what I made because they were too lazy to make their own food.
Teenage boy.
And mostly they were okay with it.
And your
My old
oldest?
my oldest, when he came home from college and found out, he was kind of like, what the hell? He was like, what happened? What are you talking about?
You're
He
doing
wasn't on
what?
board. He wasn't on board at all. Um, but again, I told him you don't have to eat this. You can eat what you want. And so he was okay with that.
Has he changed his attitude any?
He has changed his attitude a whole lot. He is my one kid that doesn't eat any meat at all now.
The oldest?
Yes.
Wow. What a turnaround.
Yeah, he had issues like me with the irritable bowel,
Yeah.
and I told him it worked for me. I didn't say do it. I just said this worked for me, and he started doing that on his own. He eliminated dairy and meat and found that he felt so much better.
That's awesome. Did he come to you for help and tips?
A little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit, but he's very independent and likes to do things his own
Yeah.
way.
That's always nice though, isn't it? When your kids come to you finally and say, hey, I think maybe you might have been kind of right. Can you kind of help me a little bit?
Yeah.
That's great. That is great. So
But
what's
most of our friends were just amused by us and
mm-hmm.
kind of thought, oh, they've gone hippie,
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Or it's a fad.
Yeah.
It's something he'll get over it. My wife laughed. My friends at work laughed really hard, especially with the blog part. I was old then, so I must be ancient now. But they said you're too old to be a blogger. You'll never make it. And what's this vegan thing all about anyway? Some of them are still like that, but for the most part, most of my family, not all, but some, say some, have come to understand and embrace what I do, my wife included. So it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was one of the lucky things is that I had my husband doing this with me.
Good.
And now, our friends, they're supportive of it. When we see people, they always ask, what can you eat? What can we do for you? So
That's
that's
nice.
really nice now.
I think it's really important to have some kind of support. You're lucky you had your husband, and eventually
Mhm.
my wife came around. But a lot of people, it's a hard selling point to get the husband or the spouse on board
Mhm.
with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can make the difference whether they stay with it or not.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish those type of people, those non-vegans, would understand?
I think the biggest thing is that my choices are not judging them. I'm just living my own truth. I don't, when I say I'm vegan, I can, sometimes you just see that rolling of the eyes,
Hmm.
but I'm not, that's the thing I want them to know is I'm not sitting here thinking about what you're eating or that you shouldn't be eating that. I'm just eating what works for me.
I think that's a really good point. A lot of times when people find out we eat different, they do think we're judging them. And I know my own children, they probably especially feel that way because sometimes I do think, yeah, you shouldn't be eating that, but you're right. We can't do it for them. We have to let them decide on their own
Yeah.
and be the best example we can. So, what used to be your favorite food before all this started?
Well, I grew up in Southern California. I was born and raised there. So Mexican food was definitely it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
chili rellenos and
Oh.
tamales were my most favorite foods in the world. And those were hard to give up.
Have you found any replacement since?
So I've tried a lot of different vegan versions of chili rellenos and tamales, and I like them. I think they're really good, but they're not the same. So, but that's okay.
It's different, and I can say that because I lived in Albuquerque for so long.
Hmm.
But we also loved. I did chili rellenos, and when we moved here to Oregon, we went to a Mexican restaurant. This is way before we became vegan, and I ordered them. And what we got was nothing like what I remember getting in New Mexico. In New Mexico, it was they were fried with an egg coating. The chilies were stuffed with cheese, and the chilies had an egg coating, and they were fried with the egg. And then you
Hmm.
had your red or green sauce on top with the more cheese and sour cream. And I don't know, it's just totally different what I got here. Even the sopapillas they brought me here in Oregon, like 3 nacho chips with a little whipped cream on top and a cherry, and here's your sopapillas. I'm like, dude, that is not a sopapilla, but
Yeah,
this is
well,
Oregon.
yeah, I live in Maine, and the first time we went to a Mexican restaurant here, we tried really hard not to laugh because everything we got tasted totally wrong. All the spices, and we were just like, it's not horrible, but it's not Mexican food. I don't know what this is.
That's funny. So what's your favorite food now?
My favorite food now, I mean, I have a lot of them, but I had to really think about that because I would say vegetable curry with tofu is my favorite now.
I have got to get on board with the Indian food. I know so many people have asked me for it. That's just something I never grew up with in the cornfields of Indiana. You don't think about curry or stuff like that. I didn't anyway.
Well,
So,
I didn't either until I went vegan. That's when I
really,
started trying Indian and Thai food, and I never had before. And I really, really like it.
I'll have to get that on my recipe board then for sure. Um, what's one tip you would have for anyone considering changing their lifestyle?
Um, I think one thing is, that they can start small. They don't have to just jump in and, that day become vegan, that they can crowd out the meat and dairy with vegetables and whole grains, or they can pick one meal a day or one day a week
Hmm.
to eat that way, that they don't have to do it all at once, that there's not any rules. They can do it whatever way works for them.
Right, right. I totally agree. I tell people all the time, I'm not trying to convert people to being vegan or plant based. Just eat a little bit better than you used to. And maybe if there's somebody who's sick, they might feel a little bit better.
Right.
So, could you ever go back now that you know everything you know?
I could never go back. It would be like punishment for me if I was forced to go back. I mean, the circumstances would have to be like really dire, like life and death
Mm,
for me to ever eat meat and dairy again. I just feel too good
so you're
not
totally
doing those
you're
things.
you're totally on board 100%. You love this way, Viti.
I do.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, and I don't crave the things I used to crave anymore. I don't crave those chili rellenos and tamales anymore.
My wife is learning that her cheese cravings are finally going away. Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. I didn't think it would, but it did for me too.
Well, that's all of my questions. I'll leave it up to you. Do you have anything else you would like to say before I end this?
Um, The only other thing I would add is that, it's really important if you don't have people in your life that support you to find support somewhere. I found support through you, through your blog, through Facebook, through some other people that, were doing similar things with recipes and cookbooks and, just finding other people that are doing the same thing. And there are a lot of them out there.
That's thank you for the shout out there. That's one of the main reasons I did build the new BNV support group that I did. Is support is so important. If you don't
Yeah.
have it at home, it's really hard to do this by yourself. So thank you for that. Again, if anybody's interested, I'll put the link down below. Thank you, Tina. It was nice to get to meet you face to
Thank
face
you.
and hear your voice. And you hear my voice every morning because we do live streams, but I don't get to hear anybody else. So this is really nice. Thanks
Yeah,
again
this is
for being
fun.
here.
Thank you.
So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure and do that like, subscribe, bell thing, the YouTube thing. And I'll be back next week for another video. Until then, this is Chuck from Brand New Vegan. Thank you.